You're not done with me that quickly. I still want to talk about Miss Marvel and how representation alone isn't enough. Now, Miss Marvel was one of the most highly watched shows in the Marvel series, but not by white people. What good is the concept of representation, which I think is really valuable and preach for it myself, if people aren't engaging with the messages tied to that representation? What good is it that you have healthy food options in a vending machine if nobody eats them? Same thing is true for representation. You see, while representation was good in Miss Marvel, many Muslims, South Asians, Arabs, and other people of color felt excited to see themselves represented in everyday modern culture. But if they're the only ones watching it, Miss Marvel is preaching to the choir. And while it may make people like me feel better about myself, my kid feel excited to see Muslims on TV, bits of our understanding and worldview, it doesn't change the worldview of those people who are holding bias or discriminative points of view. It just doesn't. In order for representation to work, in order for there to be a change in thinking, in order to normalize, I think, people of color, people of different cultural backgrounds, people from a majority culture, white people, need to start to engage with those messages of representation so they themselves see themselves in that world. You see, people of color, people from cultural minority groups, religious minority groups, we see ourselves in the North American culture. It is a part of who we are. But white people who don't come from those cultural perspectives don't see themselves belonging to us. So it's a one-way belonging. How is it possible that we resolve racism when people of color, people from cultural and religious minorities are constantly seen as outsiders? We need to normalize those messages so that representation does its job. Engage with the message, learn about different perspectives, and see yourself in them. See yourselves in those communities, because I assure you that common human relatability is there. This is Dr. Abdulrehman signing off about Miss Marvel and representation.